Hey guys, thanks for clicking on another one of my videos. I really appreciate it. This week I'm collabing with Emily from the Jackson Hive. I've not been following her for too long. I just now recently discovered her and I instantly fell in love and knew right away that I would love to collab. So she does a lot of vlogging. She has the most adorable little family and she is starting to venture into the What's for Dinner world. I really enjoyed her most recent one. I want to say it was her very first one and I thought it was really great. So I'm excited for her newest one and you guys are not going to want to miss it. So there will be a link to it down in my description box, so definitely go and check it out after you click out of this one. So I'm done talking now. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I have been cooking for dinner over this past week. On Monday, I made some Mississippi-style Sloppy Joes. This is a super popular flavor combination, as I'm sure most of you guys already know if you watch these types of videos. I've done it with chuck roast, chicken thighs, pork tenderloin, and now I can say ground beef. So I just started by browning up 1 pound, and then I drained off all the excess grease. Then I seasoned it up with some onion powder, salt, and pepper. Then I'm going to add in some minced garlic, and I'm just going to saute that around for about a minute or two. Then I'm going to go ahead and get out a separate little dish and make a ranch sauce. So all that is some mayo, apple cider vinegar, a small splash of milk, some dried dill, a little bit of pepperoncini juice, and a dash of paprika. So I'm just going to combine that together really well, and I'm going to add that on into my skillet. So this is a great alternative to those ranch seasoning packets. I have noticed that a lot of my viewers cannot purchase that where they live, so this is a good option for you guys. I'm just going to stir that into the beef, and then I'm going to take about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the deli-style sliced pepperoncinis, and I'm going to toss those into my skillet. I'm also going to be adding in several dashes of Worcestershire sauce and a couple tablespoons of ketchup. So I'm going to stir that around, and then I'm going to get out another separate little bowl. To that, I'm adding in 1 cup of beef broth and then 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. I'm going to stir that around, and that is going to be the slurry. This is also kind of like an alternative to the brown gravy packets, and this is also what is going to thicken up your sauce so that you can serve it on hamburger buns. So I'm making sure that I get all that cornstarch that kind of sunk to the bottom of my bowl and adding that in as well. For the last ingredient, I'm just tossing in 1 tablespoon of butter, and I'm just going to let that come up to a boil, and I'm going to simmer it until it thickens. We, of course, served this on some hamburger buns, and we also topped it with some provolone cheese. I served it with some fresh corn on the cob. We really like this recipe. It was super flavorful, just like I imagined. I think next time I make it, I'm going to experiment in the crock pot because I think that would make the beef and the peppers extra tender, making this a 10 out of 10. On Tuesday, we had some barbecue chicken salad, so I just started with a good bed of lettuce, and then I added some diced tomatoes. This one came from a local garden. I just think these taste so much better than the ones from the supermarket. I wish that every one I bought tasted just like this. I'm also adding some corn and black beans that I have drained and rinsed really well, and then, of course, some sharp cheddar cheese and some rotisserie chicken. The chicken that I didn't end up using for the salads, I froze for another recipe. Next, I'm just going to be drizzling on some of this sugar-free barbecue sauce. I was trying to make it pretty like the Pinterest picture, but that wasn't happening. Next, I'm just drizzling on some homemade ranch, and then lastly, some tortilla strips. These are the Santa Fe flavored ones by Kroger. I wanted to show the bags because they totally made the salad. This was delicious. I just love easy meals like this that are so quick to throw together. This is probably one of my favorite salad combinations, and I just think it's the perfect meal on a hot summer day. On Wednesday, I cooked up some fresh green beans. I have about 2 pounds here, and I've just stuck them in my colander. I'm running them under some cold water, and I'm rinsing those really well just to get rid of any dirt, bugs, or whatever weird things could be left over on them. Then I'm going to snap off the ends and just break those into bite-sized pieces because that's how we prefer them. These aren't the string beans, so I don't have to worry about stringing them or anything. This is a bit time-consuming, especially if you have more than 2 pounds like I did, so this will be a great opportunity to get your kids in the kitchen or even your spouse to help. So here they are all broken up. I'm just going to toss those back into my colander because I need that skillet to fry some bacon in. So in here I have 3 thick slices that I have just cut into bite-sized pieces using some scissors to make it easier. And I'm just going to cook that until it is nice and crispy. That's how we like it. And then when it is cooked up, I'm going to toss in those green beans, and I'm just going to coat those in that bacon grease and just saute those for about 3 to 4 minutes. Now I'm going to pour in 2 cups of chicken broth, and I'm just going to season it up with some simple salt and black pepper. Then I'm just going to let this come up to a boil, and I'm going to pop on my lid, and I'm just going to let that simmer for 2 hours. Technically, you could eat these after 1 hour. They would still be good, but we like ours super tender, so 2 hours was perfect. And this is what they looked like when they were done. So good, guys. I'm telling you, if you've never made fresh green beans, try this recipe. To go along with those, I also made some mashed potatoes. I did them a bit different this time, so I wanted to show how. So I have some red potatoes that I have cubed and let the skins on, and I ended up boiling those in some beef broth and water. I don't normally use beef broth, but I had some in my fridge that was open and needed to be used, so I just tossed it on in there. I'll do that with chicken broth sometimes too. It just adds a little bit of extra flavor. So after those were fork tender, I drained off all that liquid and added it to a mixing bowl. Then I added in some butter, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Also added in about a half a cup of sour cream, and then I grated on some fresh Parmesan cheese. This adds such a great flavor to this. Then I'm going to whip out my electric mixer and just mix that until it is smooth. I did end up having to add in just a little bit of milk to make it nice and creamy, and these are done. For the main part of this meal, I made this rotisserie seasoned pork tenderloin. I have bought this several times. It's definitely a favorite. I started off by cooking it on the grill, but my gas ran out, so I had to end up moving it to the air fryer. But it cooked perfectly. It was crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, and super flavorful. And those mashed potatoes were amazing. They were definitely worth a few extra steps. And those green beans were honestly the best that I've had in a pretty good long while. This was my favorite meal of the week. On Thursday, I made some spinach and ricotta calzones for our meatless meal of the week. So here, I'm just making a homemade pizza dough in my KitchenAid mixer. As always, if you are interested in this recipe, you will be able to find it down in my description box so that you can get the exact ingredients and measurements. So after this mixed together really well, I just let that dough sit in the bowl for a little bit to rise, and then I got started on my cheese mixture. So all that is some ricotta cheese, mozzarella, and fresh Parmesan. Then I'm going to be adding in some dried oregano, salt, and garlic powder. Lastly, I'm just going to add in a little bit of olive oil and 1 egg. So I'm just going to mix that together really well until it gets combined. And then I'm going to be taking some fresh spinach, and I'm just going to tear that into smaller leaves and add that on into my bowl. If you didn't want to use fresh, of course, you could use frozen. Just thaw it and drain it really well. Here, I'm just folding that in, and it is ready. So I'm just taking my big ball of dough, and I'm going to divide that into 4 portions, and then I'm just going to roll that out into 4 small circles. And then I'm just going to add on that ricotta and spinach filling, apply an egg wash to the edges, and then fold it up. I served these with a side of pizza sauce. I like this recipe, but I didn't love it for 2 reasons. 1, I didn't care for the oregano. It was really overpowering. And then 2, I should have cooked down my spinach before adding it to the cheese mixture because it did have a bit of a crunch, and I just don't care for that in a calzone. On Friday, we had steak quesadillas, so I'm just starting off with some thinly sliced shaved steak. I'm just seasoning that with some salt, pepper, onion, and garlic powder, and I'm just going to brown that up until it is fully cooked. I also decided to add in some liquid smoke and Worcestershire sauce. This gave it such a great flavor, and it made my house instantly smell amazing. So now onto the quesadilla part. I'm just melting some butter to my skillet, laying down a tortilla, and I'm going to be using some shredded Monterey Jack cheese. I didn't add too much because I am going to be adding a little bit more here in a minute. Also decided to use some of this Taco Bell chipotle sauce, and then I'm going to be adding a good layer of that steak down. This is actually my husband's quesadilla. I did give him a full one, but I decided to just have it half because these are pretty filling, and plus I had sides. But anyways, lastly, I'm just going to add a little bit more cheese to the top. This is going to act as a glue to hold on that other tortilla, and I'm just going to cook that for a few minutes on each side. So once those cool down slightly, I cut those with a pizza cutter, and here is what they looked like. They were so delicious. We absolutely love them, and I just have a little bit of sour cream to go with that. Then I also made some fresh guacamole earlier that morning, and then I have some tortilla chips on the side for dipping. On Saturday, we hosted a 4th of July party, so I made a big batch of shredded barbecue chicken. We just served that on hamburger buns. I also made this really delicious baked macaroni and cheese. There'll be a whole recipe video on this coming soon, so be on the lookout. We also just had some chips, of course, and then I made up some deviled eggs and potato salad. And then one of my good friends made this really yummy strawberry dump cake in the crock pot. So good. On Sunday, we had leftovers from the party, and that is going to wrap up this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out Emily's. That will be linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have an awesome week, and I will see you in the next one.